Hi, so I'm out here on my patio today on a really gorgeous breezy summer afternoon, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about vinegar. Specifically, what I want to talk about is how to make sure you're using the right acidity of vinegar. Obviously, we talked about in the article here how having your vinegar on hand and ready to go is really the way to go, especially if time is of the essence in your life, and whose isn't. But you know, that way you've got it, you're ready to go. You don't find yourself in a bind when you're ready to pickle and you got to run out to the store. So when you're pickling, the important thing is that you're using at least a 5% acidity vinegar. 5% acidity is kind of the standard. Little bit different in some of the different countries, but that's really the standard. It's the minimum that you want when you're pickling. Most pickling recipes you're going to find are based on a 5% acid vinegar. So that's what I'd really recommend you stick with when you're pickling. It can be listed in a couple of different ways. Hopefully it will be right out there loud and proud for you, like this one, 5% acidity right on the front of the label. But some of these really kind of make you dig for it, and one place to look for it if you can't find it right out on the label like that is in the list of ingredients. You can see here it's kind of listed as an ingredient diluted with water to 5% acidity. Same, I believe, on this one. I found it in the ingredient list. Same with the red wine. I really had to kind of search for it. There seems to be a lot going on this label, but it's right in there, way down in the bottom. Diluted with water to 5% acid strength. All just different ways of saying the same thing. This one was actually a little bit different. Wasn't on the front, wasn't in the ingredient label. It's kind of stuck out there on the label on its own, but it's usually there somewhere. There have been very few vinegars that I've ever seen that didn't say it, and if it isn't listed, that's not one I would use for pickling. I might use it for cooking or a dressing or something I'm going to eat fresh like that, but I wouldn't choose it to pickle with. You might actually be wondering a little bit why I have so many vinegars, a lot of different flavors here. Well, the reason is that sometimes it's nice to have some options, and especially if you're doing quick pickles, white vinegar is usually my choice for anything pickled, anything I'm going to can. Once in a while I'll go with an apple cider vinegar. I usually have apple cider vinegar around because there's a lot of homesteading and household uses for it. The red wine vinegar is a really nice one if you want to do something like a quick pickled red onion. You could actually can that, make it shelf stable because it is 5%. And the white wine vinegar is one that I picked up to try some different infused flavors. You can see my elderflowers here in the back, and hopefully I'll get around to making an elderflower infused vinegar soon. So that's what that's for. Different vinegars just match a little nicer with some of the flavors. So that's it. Just make sure your label says 5% acid. One other way that you may see that listed, none of these have it. It's not something I usually find here where I live, but you could see that listed as a grain. A 5% alcohol, a 5% acid vinegar would be a 50 grain vinegar. And it just kind of goes, in increments of 10 like that. So a 60 grain vinegar would be a 6% vinegar. Some companies, some areas where you live, that's how it's listed, but you want to look for either a 50 grain acid or a 5% acidity. Happy pickling!